Okay, folks, Andrew Bopros here. Well, I'm going to do a video on our fifth round pick, KeAndre Lambert-Smith, wide receiver from Auburn. Well, Penn State as well, too. But great pickup. Very excited about this one. I think bottom line, we're looking at a player that could really stand out. But again, fifth round pick. There's some pros, there's some cons. Plenty for us to talk about. And I know how is he going to fit in the offense? Plenty to get into. As always, Andrew Bopros, let's get into it. Okay, folks, as always, like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. I'm Andrew Volpros. So, yeah, Chef Ortiz has been cooking, and we all know what he can do. He is absolutely incredible. Um, I'll say this thing about this draft. I really felt like going into your first draft, you kind of don't know what you have, right? You have to evaluate what you have as players, and you say, okay, we don't really know what we have as players, right? Who's the ballers? Who's the people we need to replace? You could look at maybe footage from the year before, but you're just evaluating players. You haven't really seen what they've done and how they fit in your system. So now this draft, you know exactly what you have, right? You know exactly what your wide receivers do. You know exactly what your offensive linemen, so on and so forth. So now I think they were very strategic in the way they made picks in this fifth overall pick on the fifth round. Sorry, not fifth overall, the fifth round pick. KeAndre Lambert-Smith is perfect because he's going to help Justin Herbert stretch the field. We're going to talk more about that as well, which I think is really what his value is moving forward. But let's talk about him, the man of the hour, right? He's an Auburn wide receiver, KeAndre Lambert-Smith, 158th overall in the fifth round. Lambert-Smith said, it's a childhood dream. I've been waiting for this. I don't care what round. I don't care what pick it is. I just know I'm a Charger, right? And he said he's ready to get to work. If you watch the video, he said the exact same thing to Jim Harbaugh on the call. Very good video. Again, watch all those. Those videos are just amazing because you get to see these young kids have their childhood dreams realized. Interestingly, the Dane Brugler from the Athletic had him at ranked 17th overall in wide receivers. I think this is a good example of we're kind of tapped out in the NFL with wide receivers, right? There's a lot of wide receivers out there. It's interesting also because there was a lot of running backs available in this draft and a lot of tight ends. So a lot of skill positions are out there right now. Now you can make some arguments that, good, bad, and indifferent, whatever, but you're seeing all these large contracts for wide receivers, but a lot of these players are staying in college a little longer. So that's might be why there's a little bit of a backlog. He's a great example of that. So some of the players that come out earlier, again, they might be have more value. He's been in college for a very long time. But let's talk about him in general. After 4 up and down season at Penn State, he decided to transfer to Auburn. Now, again, he did have some issues. He's explosive, but we'll talk more about it here. At Auburn, he ranked second in the SEC in receiving yards, 81.8 yards per game. That's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Almost 1,000 yards. Top 10 nationally in yards per catch, 19.6. That's fantastic. So he's a burner. He's a field stretcher. Now the argument is he didn't run a full route tree. It was hitch, and another hitch. Anyways, with a few go routes mixed in. Again, he was effective at what he did, what he was asked to do. His top end speed was a bit deceiving and very good, right? So they all knew he was going to go deep. Now, the funny thing is he's only 22 years old. He's been playing a lot of football. So I think he started very early. I think anyways, long story short, I think, his time in college was very interesting, but again, only 22 years old. So he's still very young. Nice young pass catcher. Again, he's going to be matched with Trey Harris. Trey Harris also can stretch the field. Again, Lambert-Smith clocked in with a 4.37 second and 4-yard dash. That's pretty damn fast. Much faster than I've ever been in my entire life. Let me just make that very clear. I'm a deep threat. This is what he said. I don't classify myself as one thing. I can go deep. I can also be used in the quick game, intermediate. Now, he wasn't used in the quick game at all. And at least that's what a lot of people are going to say. We're going to talk a little bit more about what was said about him moving forward. He was not used in the quick game from most college perspective. I'm a route runner. I think I can surprise people with my speed. I don't look like the fast guy on film, but I'm a smooth runner, and I got stride and twitch. So let me just pause there for a second. Sanjay Law came in when he was selected and was absolutely stoked that he got this guy with the Chargers. So there's something that Sanjay sees in him that maybe other people didn't see, right? That's why we select him. Now, again, 5th round, you're not expected to start day one in the NFL. You're just not. Having said that, Sanjay and this team seems extremely happy. Again, obviously, Joe Ortiz was happy. He went to Auburn. So, of course, he's happy to have him. Jim Harbaugh seems extremely happy. And quite frankly, he probably should have been picked in the 4th round. Now, you can make arguments all day about it. But again, that's why, 5th and 6th kind of can become interesting because players can drop because they don't completely fill the need of the team that is ahead of them. So sometimes some really good gems can drop down that far. That's why the coaching staff and the scouting staff has to be solid in understanding and recognizing talent, right? So I'll wrap up a couple more thoughts here. We'll go from there and we'll look at his stats. He later added, I'm ready to go for the deep yards, 80-yard touchdowns. I got plenty of those in my career. Again, he's 6'1", 190 pounds. Played 4 years at Penn State before transferring to Auburn. Now, in Auburn, let's just actually review his stats real quick. Like I said, it's one of those things where because okay, here we go. So let's just pull it up here. All right, so this is what he did last year: 50 receptions, almost 1,000 yards, 8 receiving touchdowns. Again, that's a killer average, folks. 4.34 40, 6'1", 190. Now, you're going to argue that his size is a little bit undersized, but he does a good job blocking. We'll talk more about that here in a second. But again, PSU, his 4 years of Penn State, 9.2, 15.3. So he stretched the field, 16.2. Again, that's what his job is: stretch the field. We got 2 guys now that can stretch the field. That's exactly what Justin Herbert's always needed. We haven't had that for a very long period of time. Also, we all know what kind of a cannon he's got. But 53 receiving yards, 673 the year before Penn State. Then he transferred to Auburn, had his best year ever. So you can make some arguments that, again, he was up and down, had some pros and cons. Again, he was good at Penn State, not amazing. But again, he's an outside X receiver. Well, so is Trey Harris. So is Mike Williams, right? So again, how we're going to use him will be very interesting. I think there's going to be a lot to be said about that, but Sanjay Law clearly likes what he sees in him. Now, his weight is definitely undersized. His height is okay. Hands, a little smaller than expected, right? So his vertical also wasn't great. His bench wasn't also that great. So you can make some arguments that, again, these are the things that players are evaluated on, right? And coaches are going to be looking at these things and really making some decisions. Now, again, got the blazing speed, but you go, well, is he just a burner, right? And the reality is if you just do one thing in the NFL, you're not going to be on the field that often. You need to be able to do a lot, right? And route running is a big part of it. So let's look at some of his strengths, and then we'll look at some of his weaknesses. It's interesting. I'm going to compare to another person on our team, which I think is going to be interesting for you guys to see. Explosive straight line speed. Okay, we know he has that. Okay, let's just make that very clear. Natural ability to track the ball when maintaining speed. So that's good, meaning he can track the ball over his shoulder as he's running, which is pretty good. Impressive development, hands technique over his career. Drop rate, 14% as an underclassman, just 5% in his final season. So again, he improved his ability to catch the ball, which I think is important, right? Concentration. Shows exceptional timing and savvy for comeback routes, which I think is good too. So again, it just shows you a little bit more route tree projection. Sudden breaks, precise footwork. Look, he's fast. And I think certain offenses also don't show an entire route tree. Also, good example, Ole Miss, Trey Harris. Trey Harris was pretty much a go route and hitch route as well too. It was just vertical. And that's kind of what they wanted him to do all the time because he had the speed. I think a lot of times guys this fast, that's kind of what you're going to see as well too. So you might say, and again, he's clearly stated that he can run short routes, intermediate routes. Maybe that offense didn't show it or they didn't really highlight it for him because he had so much speed. So keep that in mind. Demonstrates surprising physicality as a blocker, which is kind of surprising. He's 190. Might have a hard time in the NFL, right? I mean, of course, a lot of cornerbacks are 190 anyways, but it would be nice to have him gain a little bit of weight. Elite change of direction. Again, he was very quick at the shuttle, which I thought was pretty interesting. A 3.83 shuttle. So it just goes into route running efficiency. By the way, all these little things that they do at the combine, these little foot drill things, it's interesting, right? But again, this is where the evaluation comes into play. Well, he was great at the shuttle. He was good at this and that. Okay. So again, it's how many ways can you grade this person? Anyways, I think it's interesting. Consistency in moving the chains. So he was kind of a third down efficiency type guy with 74% of his receptions resulting in first downs and touchdowns in his final season. So again, with a 19 point yards per catch average, he moves the chains. You only got to go 10 yards. I'm pretty good at math. He should, every time he catches the ball, move the chains. So displays advanced understanding of manipulating defensive backs, which is great. So understanding the defense, which is big. So here's where I want to compare a current member of our wide receiver room to KeAndre Lambert-Smith, and why maybe we selected one wide receiver a little higher than we probably should have, and then secondarily why he fell down to the 5th round. I am going to just make a statement. I truly do believe the wide receivers in the NFL are becoming a little bit top heavy. There's a lot of wide receivers available. This is a high running back class and a high wide receiver class and a high tight end class. So a lot of the wide receivers and tight ends and running backs were very valuable. So you're getting a lot of very good players in the 5th round. So I think some of the other positions became a little bit more valuable. Now, a good example, not in a skill position per se, but the center group this year was absolutely horrible. I mean, I think Majors, I don't even know if he was even drafted. I mean, someone said that he was an undrafted free agent, but he was argued the best center in this entire draft class. So the draft class for centers was absolutely horrible, right? So, when you look at that, it's very interesting to see where this plays out. In every draft is a bit unique, right? So anyways, I'm off my soapbox, but it just goes to show you the NFL is always changing. So let's talk about this. So some of his weaknesses: limited route tree and heavily weighted towards comebacks and digs, and needs significant development to become a complete NFL route runner. Who does that sound like? Quentin Johnston. Okay, no joke. That's exactly what his major knock was against coming out of the draft, right? He had all the intangibles, but you can make an argument that we stretched for him where we picked him. So again, this literally is almost exactly the same thing that was said about Quentin Johnston. Okay, this is funny. Tendency to let balls hit his body rather than extending to catch with his hands. Whoa, that sounds like Quentin Johnston as well. So my point is, this is where I think we're becoming very top heavy in the NFL with a lot of good wide receivers. So this is why he can drop down the way he has into the 5th round. And where QJ was probably a bit of a stretch when we picked him up. Now, QJ is also bigger in a lot of different ways, had more weight, all the above. But he didn't use his hands correctly to catch the ball, which is a big thing. Now, Sanjay Lal clearly loves him and can work with him. Again, what he's done with Quentin was above and beyond better than expected. Clearly, KeAndre Lambert-Smith will do much better. Again, here's another one. Struggles to consistently defeat press coverage when faced with physical corners. Wow. It's the same with Quentin Johnston. The funny thing is Quentin Johnston's very big. So why was he struggling to just be more physical at the line, right? You don't want these guys to move them off route. Now, again, he's 190. Quentin's much bigger. So these are the way people get evaluated right now. Heavily right side dependent, which I thought was interesting. So he's not an ambi Turner, right? Pardon the Zoolander reference, but he's right side dependent. 515 of his 531 snaps came from the right side, which is really interesting. You got to wonder why that is the case. I just don't know. I don't really have a straight answer for that, but maybe he just likes the right side, maybe prefers the right side, or maybe they just pigeonhole him into the right side. Maybe that's how it worked in the offense. Who knows? But late breakout age as a graduate senior, questions about his ceiling despite impressive physical tools and steady improvement. So who knows? Again, been in college football for quite some time. You do have to wonder, what his upside ceiling is, right? But again, he's only 22 years old. So and I'll wrap up on my final thoughts. Sanjay Lal loved what they saw in him. He was so excited when they drafted him. He came in, had a conversation with him, and clearly they see some things in him that Sanjay feels like he can improve and get the most out of him. So I'm excited to see what he does. We all know that in the 5th round, you are not a finished product, right? You can see what he is. He's a burner. Now, the question is, can this coaching staff get him to the next level, improve his route tree, improve what he does, maybe see him on the left side and the right side, right? So a lot to be said about that, guys. I mean, it's going to be very interesting, but, great pick at the 5th round. I think he's another weapon for Justin Herbert, and I'm excited to see what we can do, guys. This guy's going to be a burner. And again, with Trey Harris already on there, and guys, our tight end, we got Aronde, absolutely amazing. He's a wide receiver, not really a tight end, quite frankly. So we'll do a video on him as well, too. As always, Andrew Bopro. See you guys in the next one.
Hey, what's up? Cameron Dick here watching Bolt Bros podcast. Let's go.
Charged up, Bolt Bros on the night.